welcome to the Clubbies Legends interview series. I'm Anthony Lawrence, or Deeks, and this episode we're going to talk to a past legend that I reckon came out of his mum's womb telling stories. Pritchard, or Rhino as he's better known, he has the best memory of any man I know, and he's the best storyteller of any man I ever know. So sit back on this one, grab your beer, and sit back and listen to this man's storytelling. It is a thing of beauty. Welcome to the series, Rhino.
Deeks, thanks for having me.
Hey, look at that. Sounds around that way.
Look at that.
Cheers.
Cheers. I tell you, what a build-up.
The build-up. It's all about the build-up, Rhino. So, Rhino, I reckon, for these interviews, I generally rolled about 12 or 14 questions. How many do you reckon we'll get through today?
2. A short story for me is 12 to 15 minutes, so...
Well, that's it. Well, whatever happens, mate, happens. That's what we love about you. So it's all natural. Let it go, mate. Whatever happens, happens. So Tell us about where it started. How did you come to be part of the club?
Well, you should know very well because you pulled me out of retirement. You and Tim Hanardi pestered me. I'd given up footy. I'd had a pretty serious car accident and been told, stop playing footy. You're an idiot. You've broken nearly every bone in your body. You're in the hospital all the time. And, concentrate on your career. Footy's no good for you. So I sat out a few times with you boys. I met a really good bunch of blokes down there. And you just chipped away at me from New Year's of 2000. And I turned up at the club. So there you go.
Yeah, we had a road trip all the way to Sydney and back, and I think by the end you just had enough, hadn't you?
Well, I'd had enough of Tim's flatulence, that's for sure.
We thrashed him.
We thrashed him.
You remember your first game?
Yes, I remember.
Go.
Yeah, so my first game, I remember pretty clearly. First kick was a barrel, and everyone went up and just screamed, barrel! And I thought, gee, it's going to be fun playing this game, I tell you. It was close. I remember that the final part of the game, we'd moved the ball to half forward. I positioned myself just inside on my left footer. It was in the right pocket, and I thought, this is perfect for me. The ball came out. This guy got it. He's sort of an old ball guy, and it was Terry Lucas. And I'm like, well, I'm in the perfect slot here. You should be handballing it to me. But Terry probably didn't know me from a bar of soap, and he said, no, son, I finish these games and I win them. Slotted it on his right boot, and up we went.
Wonderful player, Terry, isn't he?
Oh, he, and for guys that didn't see him play, he could change the game by not even touching the footy. Creativity, run, he was unreal. Yeah.
Yeah. So you were playing in the Ammos before you got to us. So you had a bit of a career before the Two Blues.
Yes, I played about 150 games for the Peninsula Old Boys in the Ammos there. Yeah.
Yeah, give us a sense. So you said you're left footer. Give us a sense of the type of player you were. So give a comparison in the AFL if you can, but give those boys a sense of the style of player you were.
I don't really know what I look like when I'm out there. Attitudinally, I would say that I'd probably sit fairly similar to my current boss, Fraser Brown, and I wore the number 11 at the Two Blues, and I fancied myself. I really loved Glenn Archer and the way he went about it. So
yeah, pretty accurate.
I'm just a bit different. I sort of, especially later in my career, I sort of became more of a halfback, setting play up from there. I don't know.
Yep. How many games do you reckon you played?
Total, or
for us, for the club?
I think high 50s.
Very good. Killer sent me a list of total games and 59. So you've actually nailed that, Rhino.
There you go.
Oh, cheers. So let's hop into it. Give me some of your favourite memories as a player.
Oh, my favourite memories as a player. Although that first year being able to just play with my mates, was unbelievable under Brady Scanlon. That first game that you talk about, we turned up. It was a Sunset Strip till 3:30 in the morning. Hot dog with a lot. Home. Wake up in the morning. A little bit parched. Straight to the fridge for some cooler cordial with you. This was not my usual preparation pre-game when I played for Peninsula, I've got to say.
It might have been ours.
I'm trying to struggle down a couple of bits of toast because I'm seedy and you pull over into the milk bar to get yourself a Clark's pie and a Gatorade, which was your pre-game routine, as it were.
Mm-hmm.
So the tune's on, a bit of Good Guys, Bad Guys soundtrack, and we roll in pretty late. And Brady Scanlon's sort of hopping around a bit worried because he's captain and star player. He's late also. And the other side have been warming up, doing suicide handball and kicking drills for 25 minutes. So he pulls us aside, gives us a bit of an earful. We pump the tunes in the rooms. There's a great vibe. We walk out and away we go. So those early memories of how much fun it was pre-game. And, yeah, you can muck around and your preparation might not be A1, but you had fun. And when you got on the ground, you gave it your all. That was it. So that first season was fun. I had not had that much fun playing football in my life. So I take it off to you boys for the way you set that up.
And I reckon right in there, I think you've encapsulated this club from 1982 to today. So you can do what you want before and after a game, but get on the ground and do your best at that time.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's such a diverse range of people and skill sets in there, and that's what kept it interesting as well. You've got people like Terry that have won 7 flags at Mazenod, and then you've got a guy that's trying football for the second year, ever, and it produced some interesting stuff. It was fun. It was really good.
Yeah.
Probably, some of the best memories were playing and winning finals. Those, having success, working together, having that eclectic bunch of people, and then, you achieve the best, and probably none better than 03 when we beat D-Lar in the prelim. We'd lost the year before to them in the second semi. We probably took it a bit easy. A bit of a life lesson there for us. And when we got there that day, I wasn't going to let it slip.
No. You played an outstanding game that day, Rhino. Cross half back.
Thank you, mate. You played a ripper too. So
might have led you into that one. Leading the witness, do they call it?
Yeah.
No,
fantastic.
Half back flank side by side. We were proud of that day, weren't we?
Yeah.
So some memories that stick out for me in your playing career. So let's go to last round 2001. We're playing some Kevins who were on top of the ladder this stage. We're playing under Mickey G. He's coach at the time, so we could do anything, whatever we wanted. So we're not making the finals. Miko, Day and Lukey are playing their last game. And you come to the match with some props. Tell us more.
Well, I did a stint for an event management company, and we were managing Viking chocolate for Schweppes, and they'd had a bit of product around, and I thought I'd do some ambush marketing versus Scobs, and we needed some sort of theme to get us up and going because we weren't going anywhere. So busted out some Viking helmets, a few chocolate bars. We rolled out and did a full lap, and Scobs are looking at us thinking, these blokes are just not for real at all.
No. And I reckon we rolled, through that game, 32 or 34 players through the lineup. I reckon we had a first half team and a second half team. Remember that?
Yeah. There's a massive photo of everyone with the Viking helmets on it. It looks like it's a massive side.
Which was good because we ran out looking like we're 8 foot tall on the ground because of these helmets.
Yeah, great.
Win. So that was a certain legendary day, the old Viking day, and we knocked them off. Remember, we knocked them off. How much did we win by? Do you remember?
I cannot remember.
Yeah, 50 points. We knocked them off.
50
top
points.
Of the ladder, we're 7th.
We obviously did that 50, for Mickey G.
They finished 3rd and get knocked out first final. Start of a rivalry.
Yes, it was. It really was. the Scob dogs, they were the first ones really to get an inkling that Paran had a bit going on. I don't know if you remember, but one of their guys filmed our pre-game and said, we think we're having a go, but check this out. And I don't know how it got around in those days. Was it email or something? It was pre-social media.
Oh, very.
But they had like a group email or something like that, and it ended up on something. You were jumping around in a G-string, and there was a anyway, I've said too much, but
yeah, maybe. And unfortunately, I think you broke up just after you said that too.
Right.
So I missed. Unfortunately, that bit stayed on. Anyway, let's move on. The next year or so, we're playing Old Scotch.
Yes.
And you bring in another tradition.
Well, Jamie Edwards, Mr. Goo, the man with the most attempted barrels, least successful barrels, had given me a bottle of Old Scotch whiskey for my birthday. I'm not a big Scotch drinker, and I thought when we were playing Old Scotch, and so I made every player take a nip out of the cap pre-game. I'm still shivering a bit myself. It was, I think it was an early kickoff too, by memory. We played them on a. Can you remember the conditions that day?
No. All I remember is Mickey G picked up a dancer the night before, and she came to the game.
So someone will have given you this story, probably Steve Ivac, the missed kick-in.
Go for it.
Well, people bring up this stuff all the time of how I stuffed the kick-in up, but it was blowing an absolute gale. And I basically just trying to find the big guy. So it was like Nige and Cougs had been my targets all day to hit from kickouts, because when I was kicking into the breeze, it was really difficult to get to position. The ball's moving in the air. And Nige was a start. He dragged off their rover. I kicked it in front of him. I didn't try and kick it in front of him, but it just didn't go there. Nige has had 4 bounces with their rover on his hammer the whole time, as a ruckman. He was a star. And so I've seen Nige there. I've looked on the windward side thinking, I'm just going to chip this over here. And this guy just came out of my blind spot. And everyone's like, he was... Anyway, I never saw him. Went straight into his hands. The ball went straight over my head. And someone goes, there's less than a minute to go. And I thought, I've just blown it. I've just blown it for everyone. Very fortunate for us. Tap out went our advantage. Jimmy Zizzers got the ball in the space of 7 seconds. Ball goes through the middle. Goal. We win. Old Scotch.
Right. If it wasn't for the pre-game nip of Scotch, perhaps we wouldn't have got there, mate.
Potentially.
That's right. You never know. And we know we won, and we had that, so that connects.
Yeah.
Another one that stands out for me in your playing career was Justin Geary heard I was going to be interviewing you this week, and he rang me and he said, asked me about the hearing aids, and I didn't know what he was talking about. So do you want to elaborate?
I'm glad, because Gears often tells this story as though I was extremely malicious, but it was a complete, not really my fault. But so I was playing in the middle, and on days where it's a bit greasy, I didn't mind getting the ball and then just smacking into my guy before getting rid of it to let him know that, I had their number. And this guy took a bit of umbrage to it. And next contest, he gets the ball and comes at me, tries to do the same thing to me. And he sort of put his head down like he was going to charge me. And as I went there, his head just perfectly went into like a headlock position. And I just let his body weight come around. And then next thing, done a 270-degree turn, and his body is cartwheeling through the air. I'm having a bit of a chuckle to myself, and then ruckman sort of comes over and goes, I'm like, oh, what? And he goes, I have a look, and there's a guy fishing a set of hearing aids out of the mud and muttering something, and I thought to myself, oh, that's not going to go too well. He got really upset and started, making the gestures, and I couldn't understand what he was saying. And anyway, I said, forget about it. Somehow the free kick wasn't given to him. Ball up happens. What does he do? Runs in, smacks Mark Davies. Bang, gets sent off the ground straight away. To which I quipped, deaf and maybe blind too.
Yeah, so you've always been a good-looking man in your time. You've been compared to Mark Davies on the way through. And Gear said something about you stood on them in the mud to make sure they went deeper.
Not true. That is not true. Gears always adds another layer of. He goes, tell people about the time you ripped that deaf guy's hearing aids out and then you stood on him and whatever else. I'm like, not true. Not true. Didn't happen.
Oh no, and that is an absolute wind up for everyone. But we did talk about and have a chuckle about that. So Rhino, you've been a very handy player, very good player in your time, but you've had to deal with a lot of injuries through your career. You talked about the car crash and how that's set up, but run us through some of the injuries you've contended with over your career.
I broke my left arm 3 times, my left wrist, got a plate in my left hand, broken a number of fingers, but had to get one reconstructed. Broke my ribs twice in one season at Bran. Finished playing with a broken leg. Had a crack in my tibia and played the last 2 games with a broken leg. Dislocated my shoulder. Concussion a few times. What else? Nah, that's probably about it.
So I took that opportunity, and knowing there was a long list, that's when I opened my next beer. I thought that was special. Yeah, I knew how many there were. There've been plenty you've dealt with at the time. So who are some of the standout players you played with?
Oh, you really can't go past the big fella in Cougar. Amazing hands, like Buster Packmark type thing. Beautiful skills, nice kicking style. And then, Carey, the big man. How are you, Dave? He's another one that he could be double teamed, and because he was that good, they just kept putting more guys on him, and then he had the ability to. He'd push one guy that way, another guy that way, another guy that way, and he would time it all so that he'd just be able to grab the ball. And I thought that was an amazing skill. Had a fun fact, Gears and I were playing the day that Channel 7 filmed Carey. I had 10 possessions in a row, and I had 10 possessions, and 10 times in a row I hit Carey. He was just something else. Jace, Evie. Jason Evie had that real innate ability to know when you were going to win the footy, and they just go for space. And you put your head up and go, how is Jace 30 metres in the clear? Like, and he had such a raking kick too. He was like a 100-metre play. You'd kick it to him, he'd run. He was like coast to coast all the time. Yourself, super player, utility, absolute utility, could do everything. Nige, the great fulfilled talent of Nigel McPherson. So he could run, jump, kick, do it all. He'd kick a shot from 40 and it looked like he was just trying to drop it 10 feet and it'd go through post height. Yeah, a few in there.
Yeah. So, there's some absolute, we're in a very fortunate era of our time, weren't we? We played with some of those guys who were just absolute stars, weren't they? So you'll be always appreciated.
Travis Miller when he arrived.
Oh my God. Yeah. So yeah, good. He's a story in himself, isn't he, Trav Miller? Yes. So you'll always be appreciated for your football, Rhino. But the thing that stands out for you above everything else is, and you will always be revered for your performances on a football trip. You come into your own in that time. Just give us some of your great memories of that.
Well, I'd say trying to find something that's street legal for the podcast.
We're rated about M, so stick around.
Yeah. I think 2004, I wasn't going to go on the footy trip because it was my wedding, and Terry Lucas and Scotty flew me up there, much to my wife's disgust. But she approved it, and that was fantastic. That was a real unified few days. one of the many all-nighters that we pulled, and about 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning, I'm having a quiet beer, and then I think I went to talk to you or someone else, and I sort of went, couldn't work out what the story was, and excuse me, Fish had just sprayed me in the mouth with a fire extinguisher, and I was coughing out talcum powder, and then he proceeded to throw all the furniture out the window of the place he was staying in Byron, and I walked outside to see Chris Morton walking on his hands, having just been to a bikies nightclub for the night. That was a good night. ISO bar in Tassie, 03. Both Blakes were there, which was a very dangerous recipe. We just walked into elevated platform dance floor with a handrail. Darren Blake's run from the other side, jumped through the gaps in the handrail, slid onto the dance floor and skittled about 3 people. We've ended up scooping them up, calming the bouncer. I've got him, mate. He's my best mate. Don't worry, it'll be fine. David Green was the last man to leave ISO bar that night, but me and his little brother and Mark Davies weren't content with our one night out. We then went to the Wicked Wild Wild West until all hours of the morning, and rolled home to one of the more eventful comings homes for some time. A bit of detective work was done. Apricot chewy muesli bar was raised and a sesame snap bar, but fair to say those 2 young men really impressed me that night. None more so than Michael Green with his denim jacket of power, and Mark Davies holding a lamp to the question space during question time. That was fantastic.
And so I like how you've kept it into an M rating. You haven't delved into who or what. So you've obviously deemed that beyond M, have you?
I did. I've gone M. Following on from that, I know where you're going with these footy trip stories. What happens when you're awake for 48 hours is that you come up with some really good ideas. And at this point in time, I think Nick Gourlay wasn't wearing any clothes near the pool table. Pop, who was the manager of the hotel that we stayed at that Feder organised, who somehow was more drunk and incoherent than I was, and I'd been awake for 48 hours. I said, okay, boys, I want everyone to sing the club song, and then I'm going to deliver and scull a beer, a bourbon, a vodka, and a gin. It's like, righto, so let's get it together. Pop is putting the drinks together. Pop's fallen over before he's actually poured my beer. Gets up, getting the spirits. He's jiggling away. And he knocks some of the spirits over. Anyway, they get it lined up there. And I know what's coming, and I know my capabilities. I'm going to scull the beer, and that is no problem. The bourbon is going to go down like broken glass, but I can take it. The vodka will be smooth as silk. All I'm worried about is the gin. Okay? I can do this. Beer, bourbon, vodka, and gin. It's my time. So they sing the song. We've got the song going. There it is there. And so as we get to beer, they go beer and they're holding the note. They're doing well, fellas. Down it goes. Bourbon. Bang. Oh, agony, but I've got it. All right, just the vodka. This will be smooth as silk. And Pop had mixed it up, and I got the gin. Nearly dying on the gin. And they're still singing gin as I'm nearly spewing. And then, yeah, managed to get the vodka down, done. We then jumped on the bus, and I think I was seeing things in Technicolor, I can tell you.
Oh, my God. I remember that plane ride home, and I didn't think you were going to make it. I didn't think you were going to get home. Unbelievable.
I was fine. It was actually much better coming home on the plane from that trip than I was coming home from Bondi, where I contracted meningococcal, what I thought I'd got. We're in the airport lounge, and Justin Highland's making G&Ts in the Qantas Club. I've never had G&Ts before in my life. Anyway, then I'm having them, and I'm getting a hot flush. Geez, I'm flushed. Meningococcal was big in those days. I'm like, I'm red. I'm breaking out in a rash. Anyway, I couldn't calm the heat down. I'm sitting next to Nige and this other guy And I go, Nige, get me some water. I'm burning up, man. And the guy was freaking out next to Nige, thinking, because I'm going, I've got my Ninja Coke on. I'm shaking water all over my face. Absolutely lost it. Anyway, we lived to play on. We went to the Red Eagle that night.
Yeah, well, keep going. So I reckon you and I, we've had so many beers over time, and I reckon we go beer for beer most times.
Yes.
Except footy trips. And I think you've given us a couple of stories there, but I don't know if we've got the full. You go to a level that is just beyond. And I looking at, I marvel at what you can do. I reckon you're best on nearly every year. It's unbelievable your performance you can do on a footy trip. Where does that come from?
I love a sense of occasion, as you know. I love having something to run with. I don't think I ever even got a best on. I don't know. I think it always ended up with someone like Scotty Hayward after he stole someone's jacket, or Trav, or someone like that. I don't know, McIver. But yeah, I don't know. I do love just, you know, getting out of town, losing the shackles for a little while and being able to cut loose.
Yeah, I think if you didn't get best on grounds official, it's like when Carey kicks 8 and doesn't get a Brownlow vote type of stuff. The standard's so high already. I think that's where that would have fallen out.
I've got the bar right.
Oh my God, it is for anyone who's the current guys who are out there, and you think you've got your best footy trip player, mate, lift it 20 to 30% above. This guy here is the king of football trips. So give us some of your standout characters. You probably talked about a few already, but who are the characters around the club you've enjoyed your time with?
One bloke I probably haven't mentioned is Mickey G. So he's a bloke that, you know, when I first got there, he was the guy that if you wanted to change the interior design of your VL Turbo, that he had a cousin that worked on the docks and whatever else, you know. So he was sharp as Mick, you know, the hair, the darts, the sunnies, and he was like, he looked like something out of Underbelly, you know. He's sort of that sort of type, the big baritone voice, and he was called Mick Shit Kick. And I thought, well, how bad could it be? And it was pretty bad. But he had, his release was like Rod Curley Austin if he was trying to balk someone and kick at the same time. I don't know how he did it, but he did have one thing that was A1, A grade, and that was a bump. So he absolutely cleaned up a few people on the journey. He's not a big man. He's in traditional Italian, 5'9", 72 kilos or something. We played OMs one day. You know the guy. He fakes for free kicks everywhere. He's a massive wanker. So Barlow Telford, and he'd fake for frees all the time. And on this day, I grabbed him on the face and I'm like, you keep going down like a dog, you wanker, you know, giving him heaps. Anyway, contest sort of wing sort of in the square still. I'm running at the ball 100 miles an hour. Barlow's coming this way, and all of a sudden, this absolute sheer force of energy goes bang and hits Barlow. His lifeless head hit my knee, me doing Mark 1, and he ricocheted the other way. He was out cold before my knee got him, so that was a double whack. So he is spread out on the ground. They've rung an ambulance. They've done everything. Duncan Brand goes and gets a picnic umbrella, brings it over and puts it over the top of him because it was raining. Duncan Brand, man, he was another character.
Oh yeah. That's a double episode, I think, him.
Yeah, that's true. We had guys that had never really played a lot of football before, like Renato Delizio. He's like a soccer background, and he had a real knack around goal. And I know, you and I put a bit of time in working with some of those guys that hadn't played footy before to sort of get him up to speed. And he was someone that really took it on and really worked on his game and, you know, things like that. Greenie brought a mate of his down that was a priest. He came from a rugby background. So we played Essendon Grammar one day, and Michael's getting a bit huffy because he's not getting any touches and he can't get a tackle and whatever else. I pulled him aside at quarter time. I said, mate, you know, you've got to really focus on your strengths. You're a rugby player. You can show everyone here how you can tackle. So you just get that guy and you just bury him. You show him what you can do, you know. So we go out there. 10, 15 minutes goes past. His opponent gets the ball. You can see his eyes light up. He goes in. Guys just distributed the ball about 3 seconds earlier, and Michael picks him up and absolutely poleaxes him on the ground. So players are coming from everywhere to start pummeling into him. I'm screaming out, "Don't touch him, he's a priest!" Ridiculous.
There'll be a lot of people now going, "A priest play for us?"
Yes.
Yes. So that's quite interesting. So come back to me one step before. You reminded me of a story. Barlow Telford, that's happened. Half time's been called early. We start the third quarter.
Well, Scott Hayward was umpiring this game. For whatever reason, the game was restarted in the it was sort of forward flank, just outside the wing where the incident sort of occurred. So where the game had stopped, maintains that is the correct way that the game should have been played. What are your thoughts?
Oh, no, it's pretty clear what my thoughts are. If it ended the quarter, and because it actually happened in our forward flank, and then because the incident happened, he called half time. He then started the third quarter in that spot, which because we swapped ends, became their forward flank.
Their forward flank.
And he didn't umpire many more games after that, Scott Hayward. So thankfully, that was no, ridiculous. If he maintains that tells you exactly why he shouldn't have kept umpiring. That's wrong.
I mean, the memories keep flowing as you talk about this, but there was another game out at Mazenod that you and I, they talk about characters of the game. So you had always sort of created this team rule that if you got the ball at 60, you would kick a barrel. So from 60, that's the team rule.
Preceded me, mate, I think that one, but yeah.
So it's been handed down through the ages, obviously.
Yep.
And so I got there and I thought, well, this is fun. I love kicking a barrel. And so we've played the first half, and you and I have found each other about 3 or 4 times outside 50. Eyes keep lighting up, switching the ball around for the other guy to have a ping. So I'm 1-3 and 1 on the full. And I think you hadn't maybe scored, or you might have kicked 1 and missed a couple. And Kane Fetterplace was coaching on the day. So for those that don't realise, Anthony and I were playing on the halfback flank at this stage. So Kane pulls everyone aside and says, you guys are playing like millionaires and whatever else. And he goes, I've got halfback flankers trying to kick barrels from 60. And my response was, of course, it's a team rule.
Well, we're obviously halfback flank. We're outside 50.
We're doing the right thing, building the wall.
Well, we didn't go in. We just, let shots. That's very good. So we've had a lot of good functions in and around the place, Rhino. So some of the good things we do after the game as well.
Yeah, I reckon. I always love the tradition of the guys that buy the slab, and having a beer after the game. I liked sitting in the showers with Carey for 40 minutes after the game, not taking my mouthguard out and having a VB. It was sort of after a win, that was my favourite. And then you could sort of tell the guys that lived with their parents a lot and, didn't have an older brother or something that, they'd put all the ice in the esky first and then try and put the beers in, and you got to educate them. You and I used to jump in the car, pump a bit of the Cardigans or Teflon by Jebediah on the way to, sometimes it used to be the, what was it? Trying to think. So we used to go to we went to the Orong a bit at one stage there, and then
at Toorak Park.
At Toorak Park, yeah. But we seem to be the envy of the senior and the reserves clubs, because we had a lot of buy-in from everyone there. They were a big group of mates, and so when we had an event, everyone turned up, and we were run by people like Steve Ivac, Scott Hayward, Jason Storer, yourself, and the events would be a success. So we'd make money, we'd have funds for the footy trip, and probably some of the senior guys, they'd be scrapping around still wondering who's paid subs, who hasn't, and whatever else. But, that first year I remember we we had the fashion parade. Me and Mickey G had to get down to our jocks and strut around. That was ridiculous. But you know, the beer and bingo nights at the town hall and those joints were unreal. Hayward coming up with the heads or tails gags. You know, Jace on the mic for bingo was always a treat.
So remember what 88 was for Jace? Remember 88?
Was it 4 fat ladies?
4 fat ladies. He came from Swan Hill, so he might have seen a few.
Yeah.
So I'm going to quick word association with you, Rhino. So
yes.
First thing that comes to your mind, you can give me a word, you can give me a phrase, you can give me a story. I don't care. So let's go through. Darren Blake.
Dependable. Absolutely dependable.
Yep. Ruben. Tim Hanardi.
Not dependable. The phone's ringing at Tim's house. It's been ringing off the hook for half an hour. We've been out the night before. I said, Tim, you're going to pick that phone up? He goes, nah, it'll just be Deeks. I said, come on, let's go. We've got to play Old Brighton. We get in his car, which was called the banana car to start with, but after it got stolen by junkies a few times and they'd done some damage to it, it was leaking CO2 and exhaust fumes into the car, so we called it Auschwitz. We jumped into Auschwitz and headed down to Brighton late. Tim, I've actually hurt my Achilles snowboarding, not actually playing football. I'm about to go overseas, and we go there, and I'm not playing. I'm doing water or something like that. And Tim decides, and I think we had 16 players, maybe 17 players. Tim decides at this stage that he's just going to have a sleep on the bench, even though we haven't got a full set of people. Tim, come on, we're going to lose game. Whatever. Oh, I don't care, mate. He was just too relaxed. And Kerry did his finger. I ended up on the ground. Ridiculous.
Yes. Yeah. So we covered that one off in Ruben's episode when Bryce pretty much busted his leg. So he has to come off the ground, and Ruben's complaining that he has to go on because he interrupted his nap.
I should have actually mentioned Tim in characters. It's pretty bad form. One of the great memories that I've forgotten is playing Friday night under lights at Vic Park against Xavier, and that was one hell of a night and a weekend, and whatever else. Pre and post game, during game were all good, apart from the fact that we lost.
Yeah, we lost, but I think we won a lot that night, and
I think we did.
And recruiting got a lot easier from that point, didn't it?
Didn't it?
So is there a certain game or a certain moment? Because I reckon when you retire, you end up with a couple of things that stick in your mind. Is there a certain game or a certain moment that sticks with you in retirement?
Well, the prelim that we won, yes, but also another moment against Old Ivanhoe, probably. They were we were starting to win and get on top of them. Super windy day at the Harry Trot. Been a bit of byplay going on between me and another guy who said that I'd perhaps put on a bit of weight in the last couple of years and hadn't kicked any barrels today, and just getting into me personally. They were, come on, Rhino, where are the barrels? You're too fat and slow, Rhino. And I said, yeah, righto. Anyway, this guy elbowed Stores in the head and got reported and sent off, and then it just started to get a bit willing towards the end of the game. Ball's coming down the wing, and he's looking like he wants to pass the ball inboard, but he's not looking at me, and I went straight through him. Absolutely knocked him on his ass, and then a reasonable sized melee ensued where someone had hold of my ears, someone was choking me from behind, and then a guy was about to come in and over the top and smack me, and I just saw this beautiful Italian shaped fist smack that guy in the head and then pull another guy off and whatever else. And Mickey G as runner had come in and clocked him and got 6 weeks. And that was mateship.
And that's right. So he come in and helped you out. He's got 6 weeks, but you've got a new interior in your VL.
Yeah, that's right.
As well.
And rims.
As part of the bonus. Oh, that's awesome. So to wrap up, Rhino, what's a message you would give to the current boys who can't get on the field this year? what's a message you got for those guys?
The ethos of what I talked about before, which was that, have fun. And when you get out there, have a crack at one of my coaches used to say, train hard, play hard, celebrate hard in that order. It holds the club in good stead. I've loved seeing the guys play. I've only caught up with a few games over the year, but Gorney said something that really resonated with me. And it was we struggle to find the gun players, but we find the gun people. And that was an absolute, it really landed with me.
Yep. That's beautiful, Rhino. Have we missed anything? Is there any other last comments or thoughts you've had?
No, I think we could be here for a long time if you get me going, as you know.
Oh, I reckon you've done a remarkable job. You've told your stories as we said you would at the start, but you've absolutely nailed the timing wise. I thought we would have got through 3, as you said at the start, 2 questions, but you've nailed that.
Yeah.
You've done a great job. That's great. That's great. All right, Rhino, we might sign off, mate. So, mate, you've added a lot of energy on and off the field to this club over the years, and some of the things you've been a fantastic player, one, but what you've added off the field in terms of the stories, the footy trip exploits and skill that you've showed there, and your ability to bring a story and a mateship and a smile and a laugh to every situation you've been in has been something to behold. We thank you for that.
Thank you, mate. Very kind. It's a pleasure.
Yes. So we'll sign off there this week for the team. But good on you, boys. Remember that we are the mighty Club 18. Thanks, Rhino. You're a clubby legend, and so are you, boys. So see you soon, boys.
Thanks, guys.